We got to dive into 2028 a little bit. Gavin Newsom found himself squirming in Ben Shapiro's chair. Let's take a look.
No. Ben Shapiro was in his chair.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That is not an
That's even better. That's even better, actually.
Amazing.
Okay, let's pull up this clip, element 2.
Have now been dragged into this conversation. Some dragged, some run with, flags waving, into the conversation.
This notion of genocide.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Israel did not commit a genocide in Gaza. There is no standard by which Israel committed a genocide in Gaza, just on a factual level.
Just as a legal and factual level.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this?
My opinion is, I understand the tendency for people to make that, to assert that.
Why?
On the basis of the images and the proportionality as it relates
doesn't
to
mean genocide.
No. And by the way, I agree with you.
And international and proportionality doesn't mean that if you kill my child and I then kill 7 criminals, that I've been disproportionate.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think but I understand that tendency on the basis of trying to reconcile the proportionate nature of how the war was ultimately conducted and the devastation.
I have a question. Why do you feel the need to create a permission structure for that sort of stuff? I mean, meaning it's not true.
Yeah.
Why not just say it's not true?
Yeah. Look, I don't know the definition, or I don't know the legal threshold. That's not my opinion. So I don't share that opinion as it relates to genocide. I do not agree with that notion.
Right. Democrats have now been dragged.
Let's jump out of that a little bit. So
it's just remarkable that Shapiro started interviewing Newsom with the Gavin Newsom show behind him.
Yeah. Says he doesn't know the definition of genocide, won't sort of take a position on it, squirms a little bit about it. So, Congressman,
the idea that didn't get more pickup is unbelievable. Like that was an unforced error.
So, Congressman, you have been sort of throwing a little bit of shade at the governor of California lately. You seem to sort of.
Well, I don't understand the tendency for Democratic politicians to use those kind of sentences. But
which kind of sentences?
I don't know. Like, understand the tendency to do that. Like, Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, they just speak. Yes, it's a genocide. No, it's not a genocide. Then you go into things. I just think there's, when you're out talking. This word is so overused of authenticity. It's just say what you believe, say what you stand for. Most Americans do that. By the way, most Americans don't have all fully thought out positions on everything. They don't have hundreds of nuances, but they want to know where's your gut. And then you can do the nuance. And they want to know where do you stand? And are you willing to then live with the consequences? I make this point in my caucus all the time. The number of positions Donald Trump has taken that are 30 to 70 are innumerable. But most people don't vote that way. They don't have this checklist and say, how many of these positions are 70-30 or 30-70 positions? They look at people and say, is this guy strong? Does this guy have conviction? Is this guy a leader? Is this guy hopeful? Is he optimistic? That's how we elect people, not by some calculus of where you stand on whether to call it a genocide or not. But if you squirm about it, people say, well, does he really believe that?
And that's how he came off. Like, this was not
in your view, he's inauthentic, would you say?
No, look, that's too harsh. I think he would do himself better if he just spoke what he thinks. If one of the things that Biden, I know people maybe down on Biden, and it was not a great end to his career. But I remember being in the Oval Office room, and he says, Ro, you're a Bernie guy. I said, yes, I am. He says, Ro, I'm for Medicare for all too. I just think there's no shot in hell it's ever going to happen in this country. And that's why I was opposed to it. Right? He was very clear. He was, here's who I am. Here, Bernie's very clear. Here's who I am. Trump is pretty clear. Here's who he is. And I think that sense of knowing where you stand and then letting the chips fall where they may is probably what we need more of in this country.
I want you to complete this sentence. If I decide to run for president, it will be because of blank. You, Ro Khanna.
Because I would have the knowledge that I'd be the best person to lead this country in the times that we have. And for me, if I make that decision, I believe we're going to be in an AI revolution. I believe this country is going through a huge technology change. My district has $18 trillion of wealth. Literally 1/3 of the national wealth is in my district. And what I want to know is, how is America in the places I grew up, in Bucks County, in Western Pennsylvania, in Warren, Ohio? How are those folks going to have economic success and economic independence? How are we as a country going to succeed in the 21st century economy? And if I thought that was the central issue, I would run. If there was other central issues where my expertise was not what I thought was best for the country, I wouldn't run. But I think this country is deeply wise. I do. I really think the voters are wise. It's hard for me to see this now after having lost 2 congressional races early in my career, then won the 3rd time. I think they were actually absolutely correct. No business winning my first 2 races. And so, we don't, not say we always get it right, but one of the things I think we made a mistake as Democrats when Trump won twice, and I've voted to impeach him twice. But the first thing we did was attack him. And we never said, like, what is 50% of this country telling us? Is it just that all democracy is wrong? Is it this democracy working because people in my district in Silicon Valley were flying to Davos more than they were flying to Warren, Ohio? And had Trump never won, we would have kept going down that wet road. No one would have been like, what should we do in Johnstown, Pennsylvania? What should we do with hollowed out communities? And so I don't agree with the solutions, but my view is to have a respect for American voters. And there are only 2 cardinal sins, I think, in American politics. One is to think you're better than the actual voters, because this is a 250-year-old country. And no matter how smart you are, you probably haven't contributed more than the collective sacrifice of the nation. And the other is to not bleed a deep love for this country, which people can smell out after months of getting to know you.
So, Congressman, speaking of respect for the voters, in our party, today is the deadline for states who would like to go first.
Hey, Dan, just real quick, before, because I want to get to your DNC question, but before you do, can you just answer this yes or no? Knowing what you just said, if the Dems won back the House, yes or no, would you advise your party to impeach him a 3rd time?
Yes, you can have accountability, but one can have accountability with also putting a forward-looking vision at the same time.
So, Congressman, their states are jockeying to go first. You may or may not be a candidate. Do you have a point of view on what state should go first?
I don't. I mean, I think they should.
Answer?
I think there should be smaller states where you have to campaign, where you have to be in people's living rooms, where you have to really earn people's trust, where you can't just flood the media to try to win. And it should reflect the broad base of our party. There should be people from all different parts of our party. But I think the early states that are part of the consideration, in New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, Michigan. I mean, there could be others, but those seem to be reasonable. What the order is, let's see.